anniversary with 3 days of celebrations with your host, Pastor Mabs Nkumu and the AIRS Ministry Global family, taking us through memory lane, testimonies, timely word from special guests, and powerful praise and worship from various artists. Conference dates: Friday the 30th of September 2022 and Saturday the 1st of October 2022 at Trinity Community Centre, East Avenue, Manor Park, London E12 7SJ. Join the mega celebration on the 7th of October 2022 from 6 p.m. at the Royal Regency, 501 High Street North, London E12 6SG. AIRS Ministries invites you to their 30 years anniversary with 3 days of celebrations with your host, Pastor Mabs Nkumu and the AIRS Ministry Global family, taking us through memory lane, testimonies, timely word from special guests, and powerful praise and worship from various artists. Conference dates: Friday the 30th of September 2022 and Saturday the 1st of October 2022 at Trinity Community Centre, East Avenue, Manor Park, London E12 7SJ. Join the mega celebration on the 7th of October 2022 from 6 p.m. at the Royal Regency, 501 High Street North, London E12 6SG.
What's good, everyone?
AIRS
Welcome back. We are
Ministries
AIRS Ministry,
invites you
and
to
you're
their
watching
30
AIRS
years
Youth Talk Show. It's a 4-part series entitled The Road to Maturity. It's our 4th and final episodes for the men, entitled How to Truly Be a Man of God. If you haven't heard, then I assume you're living under a rock, because AIRS Ministry is celebrating our 30th anniversary. We have events on the 1st, which is a youth conference. We're encouraging all youth to join, and our big festival is on the 7th, where everyone gets to join and celebrate with us. For more information, please go to AIRS Youth Instagram and AIRS Church YouTube and Facebook. I'm your host, Benny Wafoya, and I'm just going to let my panelists introduce themselves.
My name is Joshua, and I've been in AIRS for 15 years, and occupation, I'm an architectural assistant.
My name is Andre. I've literally been in AIRS all my life. My occupation, I'm a mental health recruitment consultant. And in the church, I'm part of the music group, so I play drums.
Yes, sorry. My two panelists didn't tell us what they do in church. Glody, what do you do in church?
Well, in church, I do quite a few things. So I'm part of the ushering team, and I'm part of the intercessor team. And yeah, I cover quite a number of roles. And yeah.
Responsibilities. Yes, Josh.
For me in church, I'm in the intercession team. I do a lot of things as well. I'm in the media team. I'm with the youth, one of the youth leaders. I help the youth leader of the youth, just to kind of manage the youth as a whole.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Let's just get the ball rolling, because we're all men here. It's just let's relax, have fun, talk about serious topics, but not too serious. Our first question is, why are there so few men in church? According to my analysis team, they gave me a number. Apparently, there is 61% more women in the U.S. church. I know that's based in the U.S., but we are based in the U.K. But that's kind of the situation going on here. Like, there's fewer men in church.
I don't think right now, anyway, the church as a whole is catering to men in some aspects, and I don't think men are finding that the church is for them.
So you're saying church is more catered to women?
At the minute, you could say with some of the preachings as well that they hear is more catered to women. They don't. Men don't really see the importance of church anymore, or the importance of being a spiritual leader in the family, because, like Brother Goldie said, is that once the devil has already he's been in this world long enough, so he has studied mankind, and he knows that I don't need to kill 10 people. I just need to kill the one person that leads them.
Okay.
And in the terms of the structure of the family, in terms of how God has ordained it, the man is meant to be the head. And if the man is the head, all he needs is to take care of that person. And when he removes him or makes the man seem as the church or a place of worship where to spend time with Christ and the Lord is not important, if I can remove him out of there, then I can, like my brother Brody said, I can kill a whole lineage.
Yeah.
So we've got men in society that are they're more focused on the responsibilities that they have than spending time with the person that's giving them the responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's not of importance, or it's not of grave importance. It's not a priority for them to be in church. So they'll rather send the wives with the 4 kids or the 6 kids, or you go in church, you go and pray, you spend your time with the pastors, but you don't themselves. They don't want to take care of it.
Okay.
So they'll rather deal with every other responsibility instead of that.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we need to be able to show men again why is it important not only to only be the leader in a household, but also to be a spiritual leader, because we as Christians, we believe already that life is spiritual. Everything starts from the spirit realm and then it goes into the physical realm. So when you make them understand of that, and acknowledge that as well, and take that into priority, that yes, you can have a job, yes, you can have other responsibilities you're taking care of, but if your own spiritual life you're not taking care of it, nor of the family as well, then you're basically reducing your lineage to rubble, in a sense of like so
yes, Brother Andre, what do you think about that?
For me personally, stepping a little bit away from, because I really do agree with what Glody and my brother Joshua said, but I also think it's also the narrative that society paints according to what church is. For young boys, you know, when you look at young boys, and you kind of like look at how they see church, they look at church as a place of vulnerability. And as young boys, they kind of run away from things that are tied to vulnerability. Because when you look at church, you're looking at softness. You're looking at love. You're looking at praise. So praise and worship is crying to God. So these sort of things are things that young boys will not so much see as a bad thing, but they wouldn't consider it as cool. And it's almost like with young people, we almost breathe, you know, our oxygen is acceptance. You know, so we want to be accepted by society. We want to be accepted by school. We want to be accepted by work. You know, we want to be accepted by family. That's literally our oxygen. So the things that society doesn't necessarily, the things that society doesn't entirely consider as cool, we draw away from. You know, and I feel like church kind of paints a narrative. I don't know if church is the cause of it, but I think that young boys just have this narrative where church is not really
so
a cool thing.
I see you mentioned young boys. So you, what are you trying to say? It's starting from a young age?
I think it can start from a young age, because, you know, that whole, for me, I say it, you know, our oxygen is acceptance. That's society, you know. We grow up seeking acceptance from our parents, seeking acceptance from school, you know, seeking acceptance from friends. So that almost kind of like measures, you know, if we play a part and if we're like considered valuable people to society. So we have the church today that's considered something that's not so much a cool thing. So then you have, for example, like for me, growing up, I know that to my friends, I could say to them that, I'm going to church. And then their response would be, oh, what, you're a church boy, yeah?
Oh,
you know what I mean? So when you hear things like that, it's almost like, but when they're saying church boy, they're not trying to say it's a bad thing. But what they're trying to say is, oh, you're a bit of a soft boy. You know what I mean? Come and rebel with us. That's cool. You know? So we're tied to rebellion. But that's considered cool. But then church is like, you're a church, but you're a bit soft. You know what I mean? You go church, you sing, So it's things like that I feel like young boys run away from. So I think what needs to be done is kind of like reshape or kind of reintroduce the perspective on what church is. Is it cool to be in church? You know?
Okay. So let's, before we get into, you know, solutions, because I mean, I'm a promise, so I want to find solution. So what I've got from Glode is sometimes distraction can play a part. Sometimes being spiritually, I don't want to say weak, but not up there in terms of spirit. And then I'm saying it starts from a young age. It could be peer pressure, especially peer pressure. It's a huge thing. So I'm a promise of, I want to find a solution. So what can we do, Glody, to bring young boys to church, to bring men to church more, to, you know, be in that space?
Well, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of ways that we can bring men back to church. I think it all starts from the young age, as you also mentioned, Andrew. And I think even when you go to Sunday school, for example, you need more men that boys can look up to. You understand? When you go in comparison, for example, with Muslim, like there are more men attending the worship service than women. If you go to Orthodox, it's the same thing. If you go to Jews, it's the same thing. So is the way the word is taught as well. You understand? And I think from a young age as well, we that have to change. That have to change. Young boys. The way we preach or we present the gospel, to men as to change. And I also think that on a higher level for like adult and like men, I think leadership as well has to change, because Jesus was able to influence others simply by the way, not based on what he was saying only, but the way he was living his life as well. Even the apostles, the way they were living their life. So their life alone was enough to influence over men. And now we have leaders who are misbehaving, and when men looks at that, they don't want to copy that. They don't want to to remain in such place as well. So I think there's a lot of changes that need to be made from young boys, and as well as the men leaders as well.
So it's starting from the top.
It's starting with the top, and even Paul said, he who wants to become like plays a leading role in a church. They have to look at his family. Like you're a man of God. Like how do you treat your wife? How do you treat your kid? So all of those things plays a role. So
So what I'm hearing is mentors play a huge part in this.
That actually does play a huge part, because I think something that Andre mentioned about vulnerability, especially as a man, we don't want to be vulnerable. And something that's in reshaping a man or a man's mindset, especially for the young boys that are coming after us. Like we need to be able to show them it is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to show your weakness. It is okay for you to show that I can't do this by myself. I need the help. So you need to be able to, I think we have to be able ourselves as we are, especially the men that we are right now in the church. We should also be an example, as you've mentioned. Be the people that the young ones that are back behind us, they can look up to us and say, okay, if Glody is doing this, if Andre is doing this, if Josh is doing this, then I can be the same as well. In a sense of like, we have to be the example. Because to be honest, I don't think, especially for me, is I had to find those examples. That's something you mentioned as mentors. I had to find those mentors, like the men of God that I wanted to be like. That they're so passionate for God, but at the same time, they're also so passionate for their career or their work, what they want to do. So they want to be leaders that are influential. So if ourselves, we can all become an influence, then we can be able to teach. Sometimes you don't even need to teach someone, but the way they see you already out there, they can approach you. And we've got youngers behind us that are actually waiting for us to see what we're doing. So, and a lot of people, especially a lot of men that are in the church, that they are men that just pray. But what do you do after that as well? It's not just prayer. It's not just a spiritual, but what else can you add in my life? Do you understand? And that's something that we need as well.
My next question. So because we've talked about things that is kind of struggling for young guys to go in. What can we do practically? Because where I grew up in South Africa, there were like groups and clubs that they pretty much cater to young men. So like they find a similar interests or like a common interest. So let's say sports is a really huge thing for young men. So I know, because in my church, the youth was very big, and also they were limited to young boys. So when they started adding these little activities, like I know, of course, there shouldn't be the sole base of attracting young men, but it gets them in so you can share the word. So we have like sports things. What other practical thing can we do, Andre?
I'm just literally jumping on what you're saying. I think it's the same thing. It's just creating a social kind of like interaction sort of group. Look, I think, you see, one of the things here, and I'm only going to think about how it was for me growing up here. I had school, but then after school, I had, for example, football. Or after school, I had the youth clubs, and these sort of things kind of like kept me productive, and I feel like the church kind of needs to understand. If we're looking at today, I think what we need to stop doing, or what the church needs to stop doing, is kind of like grow the church or like expand the church based on how things were for them You know, especially I'm talking in terms
Back
of the
in the
leaders.
days.
So
Yeah.
how things were for them growing up. We need to understand, and what the leaders of today need to understand is like, okay, cool. We see in a new generation of individuals. So let's understand how they think. Let's try to see the world through their lens and see what it is that's missing in them, so that we can see if we can provide that for them.
Yeah.
Now, there's things that we can relate to with them. They've
Yeah.
probably gone through the same struggles
Yeah.
as us. You know, they've gone through the same challenges as us, but maybe in a different manner.
Yeah.
You know, but there's still the root of it can still be similar.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to see a part of us in them leaders.
Yeah.
So things like interacting practically,
Yeah.
you know, things like interacting, you know, in social groups, you know, just giving young men something to do, and then through that help them find their spiritual selves as well.
Yeah.
Because one more thing I also want to add here is I think young men need to see God within themselves. So they need to see themselves as a God.
Yeah,
You know what I
okay.
mean? You
Yeah.
know, see themselves, you know, and how can I resemble to the one that I am kind of like connecting to spiritually?
Yeah.
You know, because what that does is it builds their self-esteem. And self-esteem is a big thing that's missing with our young men today, you know? So that's why they run away from being vulnerable, because when they run away from being vulnerable, they're not allowing themselves to be human, you
Yeah.
know? And it's just adding on top of the pressure that they're already taking on as being young men,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that's one factor.
But that
Right.
also stems from the lack of father figures.
Oh,
So
I was
you've
about
got,
to get into that.
we've got a lot
Josh,
of
this
young
one, this
men
one.
that do not know how to be a man, in a sense. Let's take our women.
Yeah.
Like, we've got a lot of women that from the young age already, they're already taught on how to be a mother of the house. They're already taught how to cook, how to look after a child.
Yeah.
But to be honest, for men, we don't have that. We get to a certain point where we're thrown into the deep end and they'll be like, okay, now be a man. Like, you have no idea, no example that has been set for you. So you yourself have to go and seek it for yourself. And we don't have that. And that's the failure with men that we have of today. So we are there trying trial and errors at an age where we're already meant to have the foundation of what being a man is. So at 18, you're meant to be a man, but you don't know how to be a man. So you're now there retaking or relearning the lessons of life at the age where you're meant to take responsibility in your hands. So we've got a lot of men right here that I believe, especially the men in our generation, they need to have mentors. You need to have mentors, someone that can mentor you, whether it's in finance, whether it's in spirituality, whether it's in career, someone that you can look up to, someone that can help you. Another thing is that we've got a lot of men that just want to make money, but it's not just about making money. I found out recently that it's not just about making money, but it's also about managing the money that you're making. And we've got a lot of men that they can make the money, but they don't know how to manage it. They don't know about investment. They don't know about how to diversify the investment, because for them, it's just about going to the top, but how to manage that as well.
Yeah.
So there's no figures, someone that I can look up to, someone that can help me with that.
Yeah.
So that's what we're struggling is, and that's where the church can also play a part or a role. Like Andre said, having workshops or stuff like that can be able, that a young man can come and talk to him. Like, I can come, you're an accountant. Like, a young man can come and talk to, Glody, how does this happen? How can I do this? How can I direct myself? Like all these other investments or places that I can go to. Like, all of that, it will help young men to not only come to the church just to pray, but also to expand the knowledge of the word outside of the church. You understand? And that's what the church needs. We need, like Andre said, to adapt to a point where the leaders above us, they allow, okay, this is a new generation. We need to start seeing the word through their eyes. Like, how are they able to live in this society? Because the word has changed.
Yeah.
The word has changed, and the church is not really adapting to the word that's being changed.
You just literally touched on my my next point.
And I think, going back to it, I think it's all about balance. Like, Christian life is all about balance. You have to, look at both sides of it as well. As the Bible says in Proverbs 1:8, son, listen to the instruction of your father. So I think fathers have, a role to play in the kids' lives. See, now we've left, the church to lead, to teach our sons or brothers like spirituality. We've left education system to instruct them, and then now we've withdrawn from our responsibilities. And I think what the need can do as well is to create like a talk or platform that people can talk about things like and that aspect of as you mentioned of mentoring as well. That is very important. Men have to be taught about being men, because you don't
Yeah.
become a man because you've reached a certain age.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
are taught, you are
Yeah, yeah.
instructed to
Mm.
become a man, and that aspect as well need to be looked at from a younger age and going forward. as well.
I was going to ask you a question because you said it starts from the top. So I was going to say, Andre, how important is it to have a father figure in the family?
Having a father figure is absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
You know,
The
that's it,
most.
you know, it's so crucial.
Mm.
You know, children, studies here shows that a child's belief system starts from the age from about 3 years old. Already their belief system is already beginning to be groomed in a certain direction,
Yeah.
depending on what their belief system is actually, depending on what their belief system is. You know, the Bible says it, you know, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? So planting seeds in your child's life, especially from a father to a son, is something that's so effective. You know, it's so sufficient, you know, because a young boy is supposed to see his father as his hero. Yeah, he's supposed to see his father as a positive leader,
Yeah.
so that he would also want to embody in those characteristics. You know, this world is not just about having a good personality,
Yeah.
but it's about having the right characteristics to go through the challenges that this life is going to present you with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the life of Christ, I don't know, you guys might see it different, but for me, I don't really know what Christ's personality was. I don't really know what his sense of humor was.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what his favorite color was.
Yeah.
But what I do know, what his characteristics was like.
Yeah.
You know, and the characteristics traits is spiritual. And I feel like planting these seeds that forms a young boy's character,
Yeah.
for him to see the importance of being a leader in church, a leader in the household, needs to come from a father.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's definitely crucial.
Fair enough. Before we move on, because this one thing I think Josh mentioned, mentorship. Yeah, sometimes I feel like it's hard. So how do you gain a young person's trust? Because trust is a huge thing. Because there's no way they're going to come to you and just spill out everything. So how do you gain the trust for them to help you guide them through, what they're going through?
For me personally, I think or if you're looking for the mentors for me, they have to approach the young man to because for my mentors, they approached me, they're going to guide me, they're going to help me. But for the young men themselves, I think they have to remove a sense of pride.
Yeah.
A sense of I had to get to a point where it's like, I don't know. I have to ask for the help because when you say that, it's hard for them to trust, but you can't trust someone that you don't open up to. You understand? If you're always reserved, that you know that this is the steps that I should take, but I don't know how to take them, you yourself have to allow yourself to be open to those people. For the mentors themselves, or the mentors I was talking about, they have to be approachable. They have to be someone that it's easy for them to be talked. I can talk to you about my life. Do you understand? If you're not approachable, then it won't be easy for me to open up to you.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's a relationship. It's basically both parts. The mentors have a part to play. The mentees also have a part to play. So a mentor can't do all the approaching every time, and you're not opening up yourself.
Yeah.
And the mentee have to be able to be, okay, I can learn from this person. What is he might not know everything, but at least if I can pick some part of him, like even like I'm giving an example, like Glody. He might not know everything, but he knows something about accountancy.
Yeah.
So I can approach him about that. And that's something that I can build a relationship with him about. You understand? And so it's a relationship that both people have to play.
Fair enough. Wow, it's been a lot. We talk about mentors, we talk about leadership and trust and everything. But these all kind of fall under how the state of mind this young man is or a man is, and I think that's a very important thing. So, Glody, how the man's mental health is affected through what they're going through?
Yes, I believe as a man we go through, a lot of things that, are lived in silence. We keep things within ourselves, and this is something which is, I believe, it can be cultural as well. Like we've taken it from our fathers. There were people that weren't showing emotion at all. You understand? And we've taken that from them, and this is all we think men should be. Men shouldn't show emotion. Men shouldn't cry. Men shouldn't do this, and men shouldn't do that. I think in some extent there's some positive thing that can be taken from it, but men is in a whole is negative because it portrays an image of a person who's perfect, who should always be on his 24 hours. And then that has led for men to live certain things within silence, within themselves, and not sharing it with anyone. And, within the church as well. And then when we've spiritualized so many things now, and we do not want to say certain thing because it would only be portrayed or seen in a spiritual aspect, whereas it could be something just normal, like you could heal just by talking about it. You could move on from it just by, seeing a professional within that field. The same way, you can have, physical sickness is the same way you can have, sickness from your emotion and stuff. So I think both of them can be treated by professionals. And then, I know there's also a spiritual aspect to it. There can be a spiritual aspect to it, and that's when, faith comes into place. But I think in a nutshell, it's something cultural that men have had for generation now. When we are the strong men and we can't show any sort of emotion.
What's your insight? What do you think, Josh?
A lot of men for me that go through depression, and then they're not even sure that sometimes it is depression. A lot of them go through mental illness that they don't want to admit to themselves, or they don't want to admit to their peers because of how they'll be looked at. They don't know also how to get out of that state of mind, or in a way, or how anyone else can help them. Like Glody said, they want to take. A lot of men is like, I can take this by myself. I can do this by myself. I'll go through this by myself. It's all me. I'll go in this place by myself. So even they can even have partners, but at the same time they're not even opening up to the partners. You could be sleeping with your partner right next to you, and they have no idea what you're going through mentally. That it's been within us like since the young age. It's like, you can't talk about your feelings. You can't talk about what you're going through. You can't talk about what you're thinking, because sometimes it's hard for people to understand you. So you rather keep it all in, and then when it gets to a point, you just blow. But mentally, you've been affected for the past 10 years, but you have not been able to take care of your mind. You understand? It's so hard for us to open up. That's why I think there needs to be a safe space for men. Like, you can have your boys that you can talk to about anything. If you can't talk to your boys about anything, then there's something wrong. You understand? About anything that you can open up, that they won't judge you or look at you in a certain way. And that's what's lacking a lot in the society with our men, is that they don't have a safe space to go to. Or even within our culture as well, is that therapy is looked down upon. Like, you can be spiritual, but therapy is also a good place for you to go and just allow yourself to open up. It's someone that medically trained that can help you to allow open up, that it's only between both of you. You understand? And that's a culture that we also need to change. That's a culture is heavily looked down upon, especially within the church. That why can't the pastor, why can't he have a mental illness? A lot of men are going through that, but the culture or the way that we've been raised is not acceptance of it, and we need to change that perspective of that a man needs to be a certain way. No, if everyone else can also change the way that they are, why also the men that we have right now also have to change the way that they are behaving, the way that they are acting, and the way they are reacting to things, and the way they are talking about things as well. So it's a process that we're going through. It's not easy, but it is a step in the direction that we need to take. It's something that we need to take, because the suicide rates of men of the country is mostly men, and it's keep on rising year on year, and we need to do something about that, because we are suffering, but we are suffering in silence. And
we are suffering in silence. How about you, Andre? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm in the mental health field, so I definitely know that it's a reality that, yes, statistics shows, that, like you just said, my brother Joshua, that the suicide rate in men is higher than women. Not saying that women do not go through mental health issues, but if we're looking at the rate in comparison to men and women, the suicide rate in men is increasing constantly, year by year by year. If we look at the statistics of like prison population, prisons are more populated by men. So now let's assess the crimes that these men are committing. For example, violent crimes. If we look at these violent crimes are behaviors that's backed by mental health issues.
Yeah.
For a young
Yeah.
boy to just want to just go and kill someone just because of the fact that I looked at you wrong and you looked at me wrong, you know, it's getting to a point where like, yeah, young boys are really, you know, portraying, you know, their inability to hold in emotions that they can't channel properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's really, really, really becoming a problem. And a lot of it is going down to how he was raised, you know, understanding that, look, if a young boy comes to you crying, the first thing that a mother or father or someone, or let's say society may ask is, why are you crying? Oh, don't cry like a baby.
Man up.
Oh, don't cry like a girl.
Yeah.
You see, those sort of things. So now, if you tell a boy, for example, yeah, who's a boy's dream, yeah, is to be perceived as strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why they look up to heroes, superheroes. They
Yeah.
want to be perceived as strong. So if you go to a young boy that's crying and you say, why are you crying like a girl? In comparison to how he will see a girl is a vessel of weakness.
Yeah.
How he
Yeah.
will see a baby is a vessel of weakness.
Yeah.
So you saying that why are you crying like a baby, why are you crying like a girl, has a very detrimental effect. A young boy can come to you crying and saying, oh, my friend called me names, I feel very sad, I feel very upset.
Yeah.
You know? So then what I feel like parents or society shouldn't do is they shouldn't say things like, oh, ignore it. Ignore what they say. Don't
Yeah.
say something like that, because what you're doing is you're pushing for the child to suppress the emotional
emotions,
reaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So don't push for the child to suppress the emotional reaction, but rather change the way you say it and say, do not believe what they say.
Yeah.
It's okay that you're crying. It's okay. I understand because what they said hurt you, but do not believe that. You see, tap into the belief system.
Yeah.
You know, that's very important. But enabling for young boys to be able to channel their vulnerable emotions is something that really needs to be worked on, because it's something that they normalize suppressing, and anything that you make a pattern becomes part of who you are.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with young men today.
Wow. You pretty much touched into my next question now. Does society care about men's mental health? Like, Glody. Sorry.
Right. So I think the question is to be directed to the right person. If you want to have, answers, if you're going through like a lot of things, and then the problem is not only finding answers to your question. The problem is finding the right answers to your question, and you can only find the right answers to the right person, from the right person, sorry. And I think now as men is not only the issue that we do not open up, or the issue that is, there's a lot of things that we go through in silence, is that sometimes a lot of men open up to the wrong men, or to the wrong sources.
Okay.
And then from there, we get the wrong answers.
Yeah.
You understand? So I think as Christian men as well, we should be careful with whom we open up to, because faith comes by what you hear, right?
That's where the
So
trust comes in.
I think we have to develop a sense of community in where we we help our brothers, we help each other, because what I'm going through, definitely someone I've gone through it like time ago as well. So we think that we are the first one to go through what we are going through, whereas it's something that happened to many men that maybe are neighbors to us. You understand? So I think it goes back to, as you said, relationship, because we can only talk about trust in a relationship context. You can't talk about trust outside of that.
Yeah.
So I think we that relationship has to be encouraged and nurtured.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think about that, Josh? Does society care about men's mental health?
I don't think so. Not as overly as other or not really for men, because we're looked as if we can cope with it. We're looked as if we can deal with it. And for a long time now, we haven't had like a structure on how to help men to be able to tackle the mental illness. Like Andre just said, a lot of crimes that are happening that are happening right now is, you see that it's stemming from men how they used to be. It's like out telling them how to repress their emotion, not to show it. It's because for a long time they've been dealing with it but not able to channel their emotion in a certain way. Now you see there's people like they're telling them you have to show your emotion but in the right way. You understand? You can take up boxing, you can go to the gym. Those are ways that can help you with your mental health. So I don't think society has really caught on helping men with their mental health.
Yeah.
It's something that we are taking on right now. It's progressing, but it's not overly being structured in a way that is advertise to the masses on how to deal with your mental health. It's almost like an individual case that goes on the basis that someone can talk here and there, but as a whole of society, I don't think so. And I think even Andre can give us on how we can be able to tackle, especially mental health as a man right now in the society that we have.
I think that how men can overcome mental health issues is first being honest, about it, and that already is a challenge alone, because a lot of men don't even know that I actually have mental health issues. I say this a lot. Nowadays, mental health is something that we're shedding light on, So I say this to myself a lot, that young men today are in tune, or they could be in tune with the fact that mental health exists, but they are out of tune, in other words, out of touch with themselves having mental health issues. And if they do realize that they do have mental health issues, they are out of tune, and in other words, out of touch with how to deal with it. So they are scared to be open about, I'm going through depression, because even, you see, depression has many faces. I could be sitting here smiling, laughing, you're seeing Andre's always in a good mood, but that's just a mask that I'm wearing. And that mask alone is weighing so heavy on me. Pressure is a big factor that contributes towards mental health, and then if you're not able to channel your emotions because of those pressure, so I think that the way men should deal with mental health is, I think, as Glody said, coming across other men, the right men who you feel like you can relate to, because you can also go to a therapist, but then if you don't feel like that you have a connection with that therapist, if you don't feel like you can relate to that therapist, then you're not going to get the help that you feel like you need to get. So going to the right people, that safe space, I think Joshua said it, having access to a safe space to just be vulnerable. So understand that before I'm a man, and the way society needs me to be a man, I'm first human. So how does human respond to things? How does human respond to pressure? How do I respond to X, Y, and Z? And if I'm able to be honest with that, then I'm open to the help that's out there. I'm open to be as vulnerable as I need to be, so I can tackle the root that's causing it. So being exposed to a safe space, being exposed to information as well. I feel like even in schools, there needs to be curriculums, for mental health for young children. The same way we have important curriculums like maths, English, and science. Mental health, should be a very important curriculum as well, because children go through mental health issues. So I feel like it's very, very important.
Just touching on the mask comment there, I have a friend, and he's one of the most funniest person I know. He's bubbly, he's always laughing, but I think 2 years ago he took his life. For someone that is always happy, he's always smiling, he's like the loudest person in the room, but you're struggling with depression, and he's like the only child. So just getting into the deeps, like just find a safe space you're talking about is very, very important, because most of these men are putting up a mask and you have no idea what they're going through. So, which brings me to the next question. This generation men, are they weaker than the past generation? Because is our past generation men stronger than the current generation?
I wouldn't say that they are necessarily weaker. I just feel like they respond differently. Because look, if we look at mental health historically, and let's look at behaviors that was carried out historically, mental health issues existed. Rape has always been something that's existed. Abusive fathers, that's always been something that's existed. Suicide has always been something that's existed in men. So mental health, if you look at violent crimes, historically you get serial killers, you get this stuff that's even taught about in schools, like, I don't know, not to stem away from, the spiritual aspect of things, but like, you have like people that are celebrating in this world today, like Black the Ripper or Jack the Ripper, like these people are famous serial killers. That's a mental health issue, and that's historically. So these sort of things are things that show and indicate that, look, mental health has always been a thing. So I don't feel like men before were stronger, but they just put up with more, and then they masked things more because of how society dictated for them to be. So I don't know, it's a bit of a hard one to say if they were stronger or not, because that could be subjective. But I feel like men today are just dealing with things differently, and I feel like men today are becoming a bit more in tune with the fact that, okay, that I could be open with, you know, the fact that I've got mental health issues, but now going about how to do it is the challenge.
Yeah.
When before there wasn't this sort of information that was open, media wasn't talking about these sort of things. You wouldn't get adverts that will talk about phone in, you know, if you're going through depression and those sort of like mental health, you know, services that helps, you know, people that go through suicide and things like that, you know. So I feel like men today are just dealing with things differently in comparison to before.
Speaking of dealing with things, how can us men, you know, level up? For example, you know, prayer is obviously a very important thing. Like, how can we level up or get to another level, or get because most of us can't, you know, we don't have mentors, so we find something else. How can they do that, Josh?
For me, like Andrea said before, finding a way to channel your problems to, or the person that you talk to, be able to be, you have to get to a point where you say, okay, I need help.
Yeah.
Acknowledge it within yourself that you need help. Like Andrea said, being honest with yourself. That's first of all the way that you can level up, by being honest with yourself and actually truly say that right now, I haven't got it all together.
Yeah.
Right now, I can't manage it all, so I need help. Just extend your hand for someone else to help you.
Yeah.
Also, I believe that even the way that if you're someone with anger issues, like, you find a proper way to channel through that anger. Sometimes when it comes up or when it erupts, like you say, learn about mental health. Like, educate yourself about it. Some people that have mental health, they don't even know that they have mental health issues. So if you can just educate yourself about mental health, and you will see the patterns, or probably you can indicate to yourself that this is what I am kind of suffering with, then that's where you can also go and get advice on. That's where you also can be able to allow yourself, other people to also to help you with. For me, it's really just taking off that mantle of pride and open yourself up to be able to allow yourself to be helped. For me, it's more about the communication side of things.
Yes, Claudia, what do you have for me?
Well, I think I agree with both of you, and I also think that, you know, we should normalize it. It should be normalized. We should be talking about it, you know, like a normal topic, and then we should be able to, you know, address it within, you know, our friend groups, you know, talk about it, like just to have a normal conversation about it, not to the extent to glamorize it, because now we, you know, by talking a lot of mental health, we may tend to, you know, to go, you know, on the another extent to it, which is to glamorize it, which is to, you know, to make it portrayed as, you know, weakness, to, you know, to kind of glorify it in a sense, you know, as men. Even, you know, David in his deathbed to Solomon, you know, show yourself a man. Yes. And I think, you know, there's also that aspect that needs to be, you know, taught on as well. But then I think as men we should, you know, normalize it. And I also think that, you know, we live in a generation now where we have the ability, you know, to talk about stuff. Like back then, I don't think, you know, it used to be talked about as it is right now. And I think we have all, you know, the resources available for us to overcome any mental health illness. There's, you know, it's not something that, you know, we cannot overcome. It's something that can be overcome and should be overcome. And then, Yeah.
Fair enough. Wow, we've talking about mental health. We've talking about, you know, solutions, practical solutions to come up with. But I feel like it's time to move on because it's a bit too serious here, you know. But I don't know why I'm so excited about this topic. But next topic.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna pick Josh for this one. Just for, you know, reference. How could Christian men approach dating?
Wait, what'd you say me?
No, you know, it's they're not ready for that.
How Christian men can approach dating?
Yeah.
We've got a lot of I don't think, especially, that's also another topic that men are not taught on how to do. It's something that we figure out about ourselves. We've got a lot of especially Christian men that are shy. They don't know how to approach women. And the one that I hear the most That so annoys me when I hear a man approach a woman, or God has told me. That phrase needs to be thrown in the bin, because we're not really taught on how to be able to respectfully communicate with a woman. And it's something that you have to figure out by, again, experience. Like yourself, you have to go through it. I think they should be able to approach women in the sense of respectfulness, understand the reason why first you're approaching. Okay, that's the reason. What's the purpose? Why are you approaching this woman? Because a lot of our women have got already their lives together, but we've got men that have not got their lives together, but they're already approaching women. For what sense? What's the purpose? Answer yourself why you want to go through this. Okay, what's the purpose? Once you figure that out, then you're able to understand. You're able to go all the way to the end. It's not, especially as Christians, you don't just approach women just for the sake of approaching. You don't just date just for the sake of dating. You're dating with a purpose. And that's one of the phrases that my mentors always say, date with purpose. If you don't have a purpose within that dating, then you're not meant for it. You're not ready for it. Just leave it. You might as well. It's best for you to be friends with the person that you are thinking of dating, or just get to know them. But when you are, as a man, you take the decision to date that person, it's because you want to go all the way to the end, and you're not deeply dabbling everywhere. So you should approach it in the sense of, I am ready to go to the next step of being a man to lead this woman into a household where we will build a life together. So approach it with a purpose. If it's not with purpose, then leave it, bro. You're not ready for it.
All right. I just heard you say, as your mentors, been guiding you, which obviously is a very good thing. What do you think about that, Glody? How should we approach dating as Christian men?
Yes, I think we've got the word Christian and we've got the word men. And then sometimes, I always say, I would cross approach dating, but that wasn't the case. So I think, being a Christian, I think there's a lot of things that we've been taught not to do. So there's a lot of don't do this and don't do that, and then there's less of do this. Even when you're driving, you're being taught how to drive. You know that you shouldn't drive through a red light. You know things that you shouldn't do. But then you're also taught things that you should do. You should wait at the crossing, zebra crossing, when you should go when the light is green. So I think with a lot of knowledge of things that we shouldn't do and less of a knowledge of things that we are to do, we are very unsuccessful in that process of dating. So it's good for men to know the boundaries, the things that they shouldn't do, the things that they shouldn't look into, but then also to know things that we should do within that process, even afterward. So yeah.
Before we go any further, I just want to read the verse, Ephesians 5:25-32. It says, I read in the name of Jesus. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for you, to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with the water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church without stains or wrinkles or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one ever hated their own body, but they feed and care for the body, just as Christ does the church. For we who are members of the body, for the reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. This is a profound mystery, but I am talking about Christ and the church. However, each one of you also must love his wife as they love themselves, and the wife must respect her husband. Okay.
This scripture is read so many times, but with little understanding of what it means. Okay, especially when it comes to the approach. First of all, your approach needs to be in a way like you first. It says, "Love your wife as you love yourself." So, as a man already, you have to find out if you do love yourself in every aspect. How do you love yourself? Like, if also it says, "Love your wife as Christ loved the church.
Mm.
Find out how did Christ love the church.
Mhm.
What did Christ do for the church? Because that's how you're going to love the person that you're approaching. And one of the things is the approach is that we are told, as especially with men or Christian men, they go to an approach where they say things to a woman that makes them think that they're already the one while they're still choosing and they've got options. It's almost like as if you're not meant to have options. You're meant to have options, but when you approach a woman, don't make her seem as if you've already chosen her.
Yeah.
But instead, she's still an option in your mind. And that's the bad thing that Christian men do, is that you're approaching a woman or you're approaching several women, but you're making them think that you've already chosen her. So she's going also in a state of mind that I'm already taken, but she's actually not taken by you. You understand? So we need to change our approach, that you can have the option, but the way that you're approaching it, you have to approach it in a way that Christ loved the church.
Yeah.
So the way that Christ loved the church is that Christ died for the church. So when you're approaching that woman, or can you actually see yourself dying for her? Can you actually see yourself loving her the way that Christ loved the church?
Yeah.
You understand? And a lot of the approach on how we approach a woman right now is very, very bad. It's almost worldly and it's not godly.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to figure it out first before we approach.
Yeah.
That's my take on it anyway.
Andre?
I could agree. I agree, man. I agree with what you're saying, Joshua. And I think what I feel like is the challenge that we have today is the church's way or Christians' way of dating and society's way of dating.
Yeah.
You know, that's the challenge that we face today, because we want to do things morally to please God, but at the same time we still want to feel like we do things the way society has kind of like shaped for things to be.
Yeah.
You know, so I think for Christian men, the primary thing is you need to have a relationship with God. You know, having a relationship with God, or even having the willingness to have that relationship with God and make the efforts to have the relationship with God. Why? Is because you see, a relationship is not something that you find. A relationship is something that you build. You know, so you need to have the resources to be able to build that relationship.
Yeah.
You need to have the resources to also be able to discern through your relationship with God what is good for you. You know, how am I able to discern characteristics that complement me, that complement how I am as a man with a purpose based on my relationship with God. So I feel like having a relationship with God is very, very crucial. It's like almost the foundation. We're not perfect. Yeah, so I don't think all of us here, you know, we all, you know, have the zeal. We all want to have a relationship with God. We're not perfect. But understanding the importance of having that foundation and having that foundation of having a relationship with God is so crucial, because it's almost like just like the scripture says, you know, just paraphrasing, you know, husbands, you got to love your wife just as you love yourself. You know, so it's like, how can I sit here and show you how much I love you, but yet the way I'm showing or the way I'm portraying that I'm going to lead you, I'm not doing it for myself. So I cannot lead in a healthy way if I'm not leading myself in a healthy way. You know, so these sort of things, I feel like with Christian men, you find out and you collect these resources through the relationship that you have with God as a starting point. As a starting point.
Oh, okay, wow.
Ooh, very wise men up here, you know. Josh, you touched it on a little bit, but Glody, what role does a man play in a relationship?
I think men plays a key role, a very important role. That goes back to what we've been discussing earlier. You know, as a man. So, as a man already, we've been called to be like the cornerstone, to lead the foundation, and then the foundation in Christ, obviously. But then I think we have such a huge part to play in church that, you know, with that being said, I think it's very crucial for us men to kind of understand, as Andre said, you know, to have that relationship with God, because, you know, relationship doesn't make men. Is us who make relationships. So, you know, the success, you know, of a relationship is based upon the individuals within that relationship. And then if you are not, you know, able to sustain that, if you are not able to instruct, if you are not able to lead, you know, even spiritually, if you don't have that, I think it's just pointless, you know, to entertain yourself within that, because what you would do is to recreate, you know, what you've lived, or maybe, you know, what society have lived right now. So that's why we have absent fathers, because it starts, you know, from the beginning. And sometimes we just feel like, oh, I would fit into there. And as Christians, sometimes we tend to over spiritualize things. You're not ready for things, but you're getting married by faith. God will provide. You understand? And then while you're not, what you do not know, you're throwing yourself into deep end, and then that's already a bad start. So I think first get yourself together. First of all, just get yourself together. Get yourself together with God, and get yourself together as a man as well, because you'll be taking care of someone's daughter.
Yeah.
And I think in this society, saying that it may be portrayed that maybe she's got her own as well, but then as a man, you have an important roles to play. So we should get ourselves together with her before start to entertain.
Before we go on, I just want to ask Josh, because we've talked about the roles a father plays, and do you think that kind of mirrors to how let's say a young man acts in the relationship?
Yes, a lot, because especially if you have a kid, your child was already looking, like Andrew said, from the age of 3 already. They can already, the belief system is already being formed. They're already looking, so they will be looking up to you. How is your relationship with mom and dad? So you should really, your aim should be to build a relationship with someone that you want for them to be an example for, that you can influence your child, that this is how a relationship is built, about with the love. So I have to show my wife love, so that when my kids are seeing me, they also can learn from me. And that's an important role. It's a very vital role to be a father or to be a man, because everyone is looking up to you. This is something that I always say. The children are looking up to mom. The mom is looking up to the father, but who's the father looking up to? So the only person that we have to look up to is God. So that's where I agree with on what Andre said. Having a relationship with God, you're able to learn from already how God already loved the church. You're able to learn from what is the importance of love, how it is to build a relationship. That's when you're able to build a safe space as well for your family to be able to look up to you, because they're looking at your goals as well. Yes, the mom also has the goal, but they're also looking at you, how you're leading, where you want them to go. That's how she's able to help. That's why a woman's always ready to give, but who are they giving it to? Who are they giving their love to? So who are they helping? Do you understand? You can also help your woman. It's not a relationship with a man and a woman. It's not an autocracy relationship where you're a dictator. But no, you're meant to be there to lead them to a place where the vision or the purpose that the Lord has given you is able to satisfy each and every member in your family. So if you already don't have it, then why are you going into a relationship? Like the same thing that our brother Glody said. When you say get yourself together, he does not mean become rich or have so much money in the bank, but get yourself in terms of your mindset, in terms of your purpose, in terms of your vision, in terms of your relationship with God, in terms of your love for yourself, in terms of understanding the word. So because your views as well is what your woman is looking up to learn from you as well. The same goes vice versa. So you've got a massive role to play as a father. That's why we've got a lot of church that is full of women, but the fathers are nowhere to be found because they have not learned what it is to be a father. We've got kids now, they're all mothers without single mothers, because they're running away from the responsibility of fatherhood because they don't have it. They don't know what it is to be a father. Do you understand? So you've got a massive role to play, and don't take it lightly. And we've got society that are downplaying the roles of father, while it's not really a role to be downplayed.
Before we close off, using one word, for our viewers in East, Andre, what traits should they look out for? One word.
In a partner?
Yeah.
One word.
One word.
There's lots, but one I would say, I think a lot of men can relate to this. I hear a lot of men say it a lot. Respect.
Ooh,
that was
okay.
It's just a big thing that a lot of men look out for.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of answering the question, one word.
One word.
I'll say respect.
Yes, Josh. What's happening? What's
One
the word?
I'm going to have to go Glody. I'm going to use respect.
Glody, what's the word?
Yeah, I think you said it all. In the verse that you read earlier, the verse says, man loves your wife. And when it comes to the man is respect, because men translates love as respect. If you may give man everything he wants, but then if you are not showing that sense of respect, that honor that he is due to him, then that's that man just is done.
For me, because they use respect, for me it's going to be patience.
Patience.
As a man, you have to be very patient.
Mm.
And that's a trait that we are not really, it's something that you have to build with experience, especially the way sometimes your arguments you have with your woman or arguments you really have to be calm and patient, that always be in a way to always wait for things to turn out the way that you want it to be,
Yeah.
not to pressure it. Yeah,
Mhm.
so calm yourself, always to be calm and patient.
Yeah.
I'll say
Calm
that.
and patient.
Yeah.
So we have respect. That's the word. Andre, sorry, that's the word. And patience. Okay. Andre, I know that was the last question, but what's the importance of brotherhood, especially as a young man's growing up? What's the importance?
The importance of brotherhood is very, very, very effective for young men growing up to become the best version of themselves. It's examples of, like, even in the Bible, Christ coming into the world, he came and he chose 12 disciples, to carry on his works, But even through that, to me, I see it as that is also an element of showing brotherhood, an element of showing family, element of showing accountability. These sort of things plays a big part in the growth of human beings, especially in terms of human beings who are trying to excel and reach their greatest potential and fulfill the purpose that God has for them. So brotherhood is very, very important. Why? Because I want to be able to see someone that I can resemble. He's a male just like me. You're a male just like me. You're a male just like me. So let me talk to you guys about something that I'm going through. Apart from talking to my mom and dad, I want to be able to talk to someone that I see as a brother. I want to be able to talk to, because like I said at the beginning, we are so influenced by society. We are so influenced by seeking the acceptance of what society has, the expectations of society, and sometimes we tend to compromise ourselves along the way, because we're so hungry for acceptance. But having a safe space, that is brotherhood. Having that safe space to be able to talk and open up about spiritual difficulties you're going through, mental health issues, all of these stuff that we touched on, dating, the challenges of dating and things like that. I feel like brotherhood is very, very much important and is very effective. So
Yes, Josh. Importance of brotherhood.
For me, it's something that is needed because you need to know that, especially as a man, that you won't be able to do everything by yourself. What Andrew said about Jesus having the 12 disciples, Jesus, is the Son of God, but he needed help on this earth. And as a brotherhood, it's something that you need for you to realize that I need help. That I can't do everything by yourself. Even the purpose or vision that the Lord has given you, you won't be able to achieve it by yourself. If Christ himself needed 12 disciples, you also need people. So it is important for you to reach the destiny that God has implanted in your mind and the vision, but you need people to help you to drag or to push you there. Do you understand? Accountability partners, you can find that in brotherhood. That you already got a purpose or vision, but if you already tell my brother, and when I'm slacking or I'm lacking, you can tell me, bro, get on. This is not what you're meant to do. Like, live your life. And that's also will help as well. It helps in so many things, especially with crimes right now. If you've got a great brotherhood that can help you, like, bro, like you want to be a footballer, but you're not training as much. Someone that can push you, bro, you shouldn't be doing this, you're slacking. Come on, get on it. We've got a place to be. That will also help you to evolve and change yourself. So it's a massive role.
It's very important. Even the Bible says, iron sharpens iron, so why can we sharpen each other?
Exactly.
Wow. Anyways, wow, it's been lovely speaking to you guys. It's been a lovely series, 4-part series on, again, Road to Maturity, guys. Just check us out on AIRS Church YouTube and AIRS Ministry. To sum up, we speak about a lot. We talk about role models. We talk about father figures. We talk about peer pressure. I'm surprised we didn't even go into, the whole situation of nature versus nurture. That always comes up. But anyways, I just want to remind you guys that it's our 30th anniversary and we want everyone to be there. We have a youth conference on the 1st of October. We're encouraging all youth to join us, and the huge festivals on the 7th. For more information, once again, check AIRS Youth Instagram and AIRS Church Facebook and YouTube. It's been lovely, guys, but part of the journey is the end. So thank you guys for joining us, and we are AIRS Ministries.
Invites you to their 30 years anniversary with 3 days of celebrations with your host, Pastor Mabs Nkumu, and the AIRS Ministry global family. taking us through memory lane, testimonies, timely word from special guests, and powerful praise and worship from various artists. Conference dates: Friday the 30th of September 2022 and Saturday the 1st of October 2022 at Trinity Community Centre, East Avenue, Manor Park, London E12 7SJ. Join the mega celebration on the 7th of October 2022 from 6 p.m. at the Royal Regency, 501 High Street North, London E12 6SG. AIRS Ministries invites you to their 30 years anniversary with 3 days of celebrations with your host, Pastor Mabs Nkumu, and the AIRS Ministry global family, taking us through memory lane, testimonies, timely word from special guests, and powerful praise and worship from various artists. Conference dates: Friday the 30th of September 2022 and Saturday the 1st of October 2022 at Trinity Community Centre, East Avenue, Manor Park, London E12 7SJ. Join the mega celebration on the 7th of October 2022 from 6 p.m. at the Royal Regency, 501 High Street North, London E12 6SG. AIRS Ministries invites you to their 30 years anniversary